Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon, and then I do these on Wednesday, and then I put them up on Facebook. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka done. I'd like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp, betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez. They're an online therapy company. They are international, so if you are anywhere in the world and you need to get to a good therapist, go to betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez. So they're awesome because you fill out a few questions and they'll place you with somebody who's a master's level or PhD level. So there is that. Thank you, betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez. Okay, so questions. Lots and lots of questions. Okay. Have you ever experienced a flying monkey of theirs going nuts, like wearing winter clothing in summer? Okay, so I pulled out my DSM-5. So there's schizoaffective and there's schizotypal. So that sounds more like schizotypal. So basically, it's a personality disorder. So it is associated with schizophrenic. So it has aspects of schizophrenia, but it is not full-blown schizophrenia. It can also have to do with bipolar. So they're very similar in that bipolar can have, unmedicated bipolar can have psychotic features, okay? So there can be voices involved with bipolar. With schizophrenia, obviously there's voices involved. So with schizotypal personality disorder, pervasive pattern of social and interpersonal deficits marked by acute discomfort with and reduced capacity for close relationships, as well as by cognitive or perceptual distortions and eccentricities of behavior beginning in early adulthood and present in a variety of contexts, is identified by 5 or more of the following. 1, ideas of reference, excluding delusions of reference. So they kind of talk to themselves in third person, or things are being done because, you know, they wore a red sweater, so they're obviously sending me a message. You know, that kind of ideas of reference. Odd beliefs or magical thinking, which kind of includes what I just talked about, that influences behavior and is inconsistent with subcultural norms. Okay. Unusual perceptual experiences, including bodily illusions, odd thinking and speech, suspicious or paranoid ideation, inappropriate or constricted affect. So, you know, laughing at a funeral, or, you know, hysterically crying when something's happy, you know, just not the right emotion, so kind of thing. Behavior or appearance that is odd, eccentric, or peculiar, lack of close friends or confidence other than first-degree relatives, excessive social anxiety that does not diminish with familiarity and tends to be associated with paranoid fears rather than negative judgments of themselves, does not occur exclusively during the course of schizophrenia, a bipolar disorder or depressive disorder with psychotic features, or another psychotic disorder, or autism spectrum disorder. So, yeah, it usually, it's like if they're dressing inappropriately to the situation, there's usually something either bipolar going on or schizotypal. Schizoid is a little bit different. Schizoid is more like they just shun social activities, period. They don't really show any emotion. There's a coldness, detachment, flattened affectivity. So that's schizoid. So, yeah, it sounds to me like schizotypal is what you're talking about. So that's a personality disorder, and or it could be affiliated with bipolar in a psychotic episode. So yes, you can have bipolar that has psychotic features. So yeah, and it really, you know, does it have anything to do with them being a flying monkey? Maybe. They tend to surround themselves with people who will worship them. So somebody who's, you know, maybe has issues, you know, and they want to be able to control them. And so controlling somebody who has a mental health issue, that's what they do. So, because, you know, narcissists are psychotic and they're evil if they're dark triads. So anyway, I hope that answers your question. So that is indicating some issue going on, either bipolar with psychotic features or schizotypal behavior. And either way, there's a problem. So, yeah, hope that answers your question. If you have more questions about that, feel free to ask, because, just based on what you're saying, that's what it sounds like to me. Okay, how to proceed with somebody you've overshared with prior to finding out about narcissism. Well, if they are in fact a narcissist, then you will proceed with caution. What did I do with my water? Dear Lord. And my microphone. There it is. There it goes. You will proceed with caution. So basically, you do not, if they're a narcissist, you no longer overshare. You no longer share stuff with them. If you've realized that they are toxic, harmful, hurtful, and they use stuff against you, hey, how about them Dodgers? And yeah, they'll notice. Absolutely. And they won't like it. They won't like the fact that you're no longer giving them the deep stuff. And that's fine. Too bad, so sad. It's your life. You get to have boundaries. There you go. They don't like boundaries. They really don't. So there is that. You proceed with caution. You absolutely do not continue to share with them, especially if you believe them to be narcissistic or a dark triad. How do I interview a divorce attorney? What questions should I ask? Okay, so much like therapists, divorce attorneys will say, if they're bad, will say whatever they think you want to hear. And it annoys the living crap out of me when therapists and attorneys say things like, oh, of course I'm trauma informed. Oh, of course I understand trauma. Not every therapist does, and not every attorney does. So word of mouth is the best way to find an attorney. You want to ask them questions like, well, how do you deal with high conflict divorce? Get them to give you examples. And if they can't give you examples, or if they try to fluff it. So here's the deal. When Brent is my friend, Brent Bryson is my friend. He's an attorney out of Mesa. I trust him. I trust him with my clients because he's good to my clients and I like them, and I like him and he likes them, and it makes me happy, and he treats them really well. And he's really good at dealing with high conflict divorces. So for example, it's like if the ex is filing motion after motion after motion after motion, he'll start counterfiling. And he'll be like, asking for attorney's fees. Is what a good attorney should be doing when one of these jackwagons decides that they're going to try to bankrupt the spouse. So how do you handle it when the ex is using the court system as a abuse by proxy? What do you do? There's a question. If they don't know the answer to that, then they don't know what they're doing. There you go. So you ask them things like that. What do you do if my spouse, my ex, starts filing motion after motion after motion? How are you going to protect me? What are you going to do with that? How many high conflict divorce cases have you dealt with? What do you do when the ex starts sending emails to you in an effort to raise my fee to you? What are you going to do? See, these are all questions you need to be asking. I am hearing horror stories from lots of clients that picked the wrong attorney, and these attorneys don't care. They just want the money. That's all they care about. So the more the ex does stuff, the more they don't do anything, and they just keep racking up the bills. And that's abuse by proxy. That is using the court system to financially abuse the ex, the sane spouse that's getting out. So yeah, you want to ask about how are we going to keep the court costs down? How much is this going to cost up front? I mean, yes, you have to do a retaining fee, and that's usually around $5,000. Yeah, that's expensive. It's a lot of money, and it's going to go fast because they're going to try to rack up the bills. Trust me. So you want to ask all these things. It's like, do they barter? Are they able to, take material possessions in lieu of cash? Some attorneys do that, and they can do that. So, you ask these things. You ask them, it's like, how well do you know Judge so-and-so? How well do you know the judges? Do you go golfing with them? Do you, honestly, I have a good attorney that is well connected in the legal realm. that they do know the judges. They do have lunch with the other attorneys. They do know how the other attorneys act. They do know. Do you see where I'm going with that? It's a really good thing to know. So you want to ask all these questions, and you want to look at reviews. It's like, what do people say about them? So yeah, it's like, are people happy with them? Are people not happy with them? And if you're in a support group, that's a great question. It's like, who did you guys use for an attorney? Did you like them? Did they do well by you? That's another great way to find an attorney, is by going to one of these support groups for having been with a dark triad or a narcissist. So yeah, word of mouth is the best way. Absolute best way. And like I said, I love Brent because he treats my clients really well. Mainly because he knows I will break my foot off in his hind end if he doesn't. But no, but he and I are friends. So, it's like he does really well by my clients. I know him. I know how he works. I know how he, conducts himself. And I know that he's very conscientious about not racking up the bills, because he knows how evil some of these exes can be. So anyway, there is that. So those are the kind of questions you want to ask. The No Nonsense Guide to Divorce. That was Lori Hellis. The No Nonsense Guide to Divorce by Lori Hellis. And that, that has questions that you can ask and what to expect and things like that. The thing that concerns me is that there are attorneys out there that are unethical, just like there's therapists out there that are unethical. And they say they know what they're doing, and they say that they've dealt with high conflict divorce. But then when the rubber meets the road and the crazy ex is doing the crazy ex dance, lo and behold, they go, oh, I can't handle this, and they'll quit. Or they just keep allowing the abuser to keep racking up the bills, and it's ridiculous. So, it's if you don't like your attorney, if you don't feel that they're representing you, don't hesitate to fire them. So, and don't let them rack up the bills to the point where you're seriously in debt. I mean, it's going to be expensive, guys. I'm not lying to you. It's expensive to get a good attorney, but I'll tell you what, for peace of mind and to make sure that your child is protected in one of these custody battles, it is 110% worth it. Worth it. So, yeah. And do know that, every time they file, your attorney should be counterfiling and demanding attorney's fees for this frivolous filing. And they do. They try. They'll go, here's the thing. The abuser will go get an attorney who's just as slimy as the abuser is. They'll get one who is just as unethical, who lies as much as they do, who, has no moral compass, etc., etc., etc. That attorney doesn't give a damn about the best interest of your child. That's why you want to get an attorney who does give a damn about the best interest of your child and who will be making good suggestions to you. And that will also be countering whatever unethical BS. Oh my Lord. Yes, there have been times when the good attorney will have to file a complaint against the attorney for acting unethically. You bet. And you've got a good attorney who's willing to do that because, they tend to protect their own. But you know what? It's just like with me. If I found out a therapist was abusing one of my clients or had abused one of my clients, you bet your sweet bippy I'd go turn them into the board. I would, absolutely. They get out of my business. Get out of my profession. Thank you very much. So yeah, I mean, it's like there are very unethical attorneys out there. Absolutely. So you want to get a good one. Get a recommendation. Get word of mouth. Reviews. Read up on them. That whole thing. And the thing that puts a lot of people off is that I think they think that when they're going to meet an attorney that it's almost like being with a therapist. Au contraire. They are like poker players, like no emotion. Like when Brent wants to, I can't tell what he's thinking. He's like total poker face. And he always laughs at me because he's like, you're terrible at poker, aren't you? And I'm like, I suck. Because if I get a good hand, I smile. That's my tell. So, but no, he's like poker face and he's good at what he does. And he knows a slime dog when he sees one. So, and he doesn't put up with crap, which is why I love him. So anyway, but that's what you want to do. In your state, you want to interview them. You want to get word of mouth. You want to read the reviews. You want to talk to as many people as possible. You want to ask real hard questions like, how much is this going to cost? What if my ex does X, Y, and Z? What if they try to, pull the whole going for sole custody, blah, blah, blah. The thing of it is that no judge is going to want to give sole custody unless there's abuse or neglect going on. That's provable. You have to be able to prove it. So your ex can say all sorts of things. If there's no proof, yeah, there's nothing they can do. But they'll try. They'll try to terrorize you with it. Absolutely. And you want a good attorney who's going to comfort you, be there for you. But remember, they're not your therapist. You don't want to be calling them every 5 seconds. You want to just, bare minimum, because they charge per hour and they charge quarter hours and they charge, all of that. So, so ask, talk, ask, read up. The No Nonsense Guide to Divorce by Lori Hellis, and Splitting by Bill Eddy and Randy Krieger, because you're in for the ride of your life. Everything you think they would never do, they will do. They absolutely will do. They have no moral compass whatsoever. So, I hope that answers that question. I don't like feeling sad or angry. Every time I start working the books, I stop because I don't want to have to feel it again. How can I do the work without feeling? Well, unless you're an alien, you're going to feel. Feeling is normal. Feeling has been made abnormal in our families of origin. Now, for my dad, his hue and cry was, I'll give you something to be angry about. I'll give you something to cry about. He was an abusive piece of, So emotions are made abnormal in abusive families. So here's the deal. Allow the emotions. They're healthy. Having emotions is healthy. Now, the two extremes, not having any or having too many, those are unhealthy. So emotional dysregulation, that's unhealthy. No emotion at all, that's unhealthy. Middle path. You want to go into the middle path. So emotions are healthy. Emotions are okay. Emotions are good. It's what we do with them that make them helpful or hurtful. So I think the big thing is give yourself permission. So for me, my dad did not allow us to cry. If we cried, we got hit. Oh, that helps. Like, a kid is not going to cry getting hit, please. Don't get me started. Anyway, so I didn't cry probably for the first 16 years of my life, and then I realized I wasn't a Marine and I could do any emotion I wanted to because I had a therapist that gave me permission to have emotions. So you got to give yourself permission. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to do mirror work. You're going to say, hello, good to see you. Have a great day. You know what? You're a human being, and it's okay to have emotions. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to have whatever emotion comes up, and I will allow you to honor that emotion by allowing yourself to have it. And just notice it and feel it. No judgment. And then walk out. Now, it's going to take time because, you've been told for years and years and years, don't you dare have an emotion, don't you dare be real, don't you dare be genuine. Your real emotions make me uncomfortable, is what narcissists say, because they can't feel. And so when somebody has an emotion that they can't feel, it angers them. Because, how dare you have something that they don't? They're good at anger. They're not good at anything else. And they never own their anger either. It's like a healthy person is able to go, I feel, name the emotion, angry, when this behavior happens. You own it, right? Abusers are always like, I'm angry because you. I'm angry because that. I'm angry because, as opposed to, I am having anger and I'm choosing to be angry about this situation. So, So allow yourself to have the emotions and don't be afraid of them. So remember, emotions are powerful. Why do you think abusers do not want us to feel our emotions? Because we will never heal if we do not. You gotta feel it to heal it. And they want to keep us crippled so that they can continue to abuse us. So if that is your middle finger to them, use that as your middle finger to them. Oh yeah? You want me not to feel? Watch this, mother clucker. And then allow the emotion. So they don't want us to feel because they know that if we don't feel it, we're never going to be able to heal it. So you have to feel it to heal it. And B, make friends with your emotions. Make friends with your emotions. Now, honestly, crying I'm not crazy about, because crying is vulnerable, and my dad would attack whenever any of us were vulnerable. So I have been my whole life conditioning myself that it's okay to cry. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be mad, and so allowing. And I can even say while I'm crying, well, I'm not particularly crazy about this particular emotion, but I'm going to allow it. And then I do. And I have a good cry. Good cries are great. They really are, just especially if it's a yucky day and you're just, go make a blanket fort and you just get your coloring book and you just go to town and allow. So something that I did also while I was healing for my family that, they stopped me from having emotions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I would make time to go cry. I would make time to go be angry. You can practice. It's okay. You can do that. So allow. It's about allowing, and it's about expressing them appropriately. We always own our own emotions. We do. Own your own emotion. I feel sad when whatever happens, or I feel angry when whatever happened. Do you see where I'm going with that? It's like it's a choice. There are things that happen that are knee-jerk reactions. Somebody unjustly harms somebody. Oh boy, howdy, I get very angry. And I also recognize that I can step out of that anger when I need to. So we own the emotions. The emotions do not own us. So that's where the power is. But abusers don't understand that. Abusers are terrified of emotions because they don't feel them. They genuinely don't feel them. They don't get it. So when we are having an emotion, it's threatening as hell to them. And that's why they try to shut us down. So here's the thing. Here's the secret. We can step out of an emotion at any point in time. We can step into it, or we can step out of it. And it's all about allowing. And it's all about not being afraid of our emotions and not allowing our emotions to control us. We control the emotions. The emotions do not control us. We are the master of our own destiny. So allow yourself to have those emotions. Don't stop your range here. Have all of them. Have all the emotions. There's such a thing as a rage room. So if you want to practice being angry, I strongly suggest going to a rage room. There used to be laughing clubs. I don't know if those are still around, but you would go and you would just laugh for like 45 minutes. Great workout. There's that type of thing. Or, like I said, you make time to just, maybe take a hot bath and have a good cry, and just allow yourself to feel and validate that forgotten part of you, because kids are very feeling. They're very physical and they're very feeling. And when you have an abusive parent, boy, howdy, they cut us off from our bodies and they cut us off from our emotions. Get back in touch with both. That's my recommendation. Don't be afraid of it. Make friends with it. It's going to serve you well, because you got to feel it to heal it. So there is that. Okay. Let me look at the next question. Is it worth it to have my attorney receive all communication from the soon-to-be ex if the ex is ridiculously abusive, if they're making threats, then yes. In that case, I would say yes. If you can get our family OWL and then screenshot the ones that you need to send to your attorney, that's a cheaper way to do it. I've had cases where I have recommended, oh, Lord have mercy. Yeah, in cases where there is a lot of threats, a lot of, they're psychotic, they're antisocial, so they're stalking, or they're, threatening to take the kids away, or they're, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, yeah, you absolutely want that to go to your attorney so that he or she can send a cease and desist letter, basically saying, hey, guess what, jerkwad? Somebody else is watching this. Hi. Get a restraining order, get an emergency custody, that would be worth it if you're dealing with somebody who's threatening you physically, mentally, emotionally, etc. But if you can do Our Family Wizard or some form, I know there's other forms. Our Family Wizard is the one that comes to my mind. But if there's some form of email that is unerasable, capturable, take a screenshot, and then you can send the relevant ones to your attorney, because yeah, it does get very expensive if you have everything going through the attorney. But caveat, if there is, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, you watch, I'm going to get you, that kind of stuff, yeah, have it go through the attorney. Absolutely. And screenshot it and keep a file and have the attorney respond. So that would be the only time I would ever respond, is if there was threats going on and they're, threatening to harm you or the kids, or I'm going to take the kids, or, whatever, or I'm going to call CPS on you. Great. Well, you've already told me what you're going to do, and now I can show this to CPS. Fabulous. They're not terribly bright. They think that intimidation is going to work. And in the beginning, it did. In the beginning, intimidation did work with us. But as time goes on, it's kind of like, whatever, dude, you're all talk, thank God. And sometimes they're not all talk, though. And that's why it's important to know when you need to be doing a restraining order and when you need to be doing cease and desist letters. And do you see where I'm going with that? So it depends. It depends. And a good attorney will advise you. A good attorney will say, no, that'd be too expensive, or, well, let's try doing it through our family wizard first. Do you see where I'm going with that? That's how you know you're dealing with a good attorney, one that's more interested in your well-being than their paycheck. So, and they do exist, guys, just like therapists like me exist. Yes. So they are out there. You just gotta interview them. Okay. Okay, answered that one. Wait, am I missing one? Nope, I think I got them all. Fabulous. Okay, so I am going to be gone the next 2 weeks. Oh, yeah, that's what it's going to be on. June 4th. Crushing Dreams. So how parents crush their kids' dreams. And this is going to be important for adult children of narcissists. And this is also going to be important if you are divorcing a narcissist, because you need to make sure that those little ones' dreams are not being crushed by that person. And I use the term person loosely. So crushing dreams. So this is what narcissists do. And I talked a little bit about it on Sunday when we were talking about oversharing. So, for example, I'll just give you a few brief examples of what we're going to talk about. Let's say the kid is really interested in basketball, right? They want to be a basketball player. So what does the parent who's abusive do? Signs them up for soccer or baseball or swimming or something that is not basketball. So you've got to really keep on that, because they will. They will intentionally, because remember, they do not want anybody to outshine them, not even their own children. So the more dark triad they are, the more psychotic they are, the more narcissistic they are. If the child is not a mini-me, if the child is not exactly like them and does the same things as them, they will come unglued if this kid is excelling in something that they didn't excel at. So, yeah, we're going to talk about crushing dreams and how important it is to protect your kids from that. And for those of us who were raised by narcissists, how important it is to go get in touch with those dreams and maybe go do them. Never too late. And we're going to talk about that. So that'll be on June 4th. That'll be Crushing Dreams. All right, my loves. You guys go have a great couple of weeks, and I will talk to you on June 4th.